this case has become a witness. You should apply the same rules to consideration of her testimony that you apply to the testimony of the other witnesses. Do you understand that possible instruction?
Yes, sir.
If you decide not to testify, here's what I'll tell the jury. The Constitution requires the state to prove its accusations against the defendant. It is not necessary for the defendant to disprove anything, nor is the defendant required to prove her innocence. It is up to the state to prove the defendant's guilt by evidence. The defendant exercised a fundamental right by choosing not to be a witness in this case. You must not view this as an admission of guilt or be influenced in any way by her decision. No juror should ever be concerned that the defendant did or did not take the witness stand to give testimony in the case. Do you understand? That would be the instruction I would give the jury if you do not testify.
Yes, sir.
Have you had sufficient time to talk to Mr. McKinney? First off, do you understand you have the right not to testify?
Yes, sir.
Have you had sufficient time to speak with Mr. McKinney about your right to testify, not testify, and the ramifications of that?
Yes, sir.
Do you wish to testify?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Judge.
Mr. McKinney.
It's also appropriate at this time, if the court wishes to inquire of my client related to potential concessions of guilt. And in this case, my client is charged with first-degree premeditated murder. It is a very serious case. These have been very serious discussions. And I wanted to make it clear on the record so that the court was aware. So the court had the opportunity to inquire of my client as to concessions of guilt, as to elements 1 and 2. Elements 1 and 2 are number 1, Jackson Rodriguez Barnes is dead. And element number 2, the death was caused by the criminal act of Maria Rodriguez Barnes. Effectively, if you put those two together, that is an admission right off the get-go of manslaughter.
Yes, sir. Ms. Rodriguez, if you remember in the very beginning, I told your attorney, even before we brought in the jury pool, and I said, don't concede to anything without getting the approval of that strategy from you, from your client. So now it's with you. Do you understand that if you're on the stand and you agree that your son's dead and that your actions caused that, and they were criminal actions that caused that, that then you are basically admitting to manslaughter?
Yes, sir.
And if you do that, then what is the range, what's the worst case scenario, Mr. McKinney, as far as sentencing for Ms. Rodriguez?
Manslaughter would be
On manslaughter?
second degree. A manslaughter is a second-degree felony.
Yes, sir.
It's a maximum 15.
Okay. So you could be sentenced up to 15 years in prison. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Mr. McKinney, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Rodriguez, do you still wish to testify?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Then after Ms. Rodriguez testifies, do you have another possible witness?
I do not. The
Okay.
defense will rest.
Okay. Are we ready for the jury?
Yes,
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. If you'll please stand for the jury.